Hello and welcome to the Weston Homes Stadium, home of Peterborough United Football Club. My name's Phil Adlam and this is the pre-match show in association with Mick George. Now today are preparing for today's game against Fleetwood Town, which kicks off at 3 p.m. Remember, iFollow passes are available for this game, priced at £10 if you're a non-season ticket holder. To get the stream for today's game, please go to the club website, which is theposh.com, and follow the instructions there. Of course, if you're a season ticket holder, you've had some correspondence from us this week, which will give you a code to watch today's game with the COD Army. So what can you expect in today's show? Well, we're going to be speaking live to manager Darren Ferguson. He'll be talking through his team lineup for today's game against Fleetwood Town. We'll also hear from him from his pre-match press conference earlier on this week, where he talks about the problems that Fleetwood may pose his side today after a very good start from Joey Barton's side. We also catch up with Jean Venters, one of the biggest Posh fans, who is desperately missing her football at this moment in time. A regular who's in the executive suite area at the football club. She'll be watching the iFollow stream today, and we'll be speaking to her about how she got involved in supporting Posh and some of the players that make her smile here at the Weston Homes Stadium. We'll also be catching up with Vice Captain Nathan Thompson. Now, Nathan is part of a footballing family. His brother Lewis plays for MK Dons, and this season it's likely that the two will come up against each other in the two games played between the two sides. We catch up with Nathan two parts throughout this show. So, what are you waiting for? Let's get stuck into today's show and starting with the pre-match press conference with Darren Ferguson.
We'll go for the first league game of the season against Fleetwood. Seems weird, obviously, we're talking about first league game of the season at home, given we've already played 3 games, but you must be looking forward to getting started.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're at home. Also a very good home record last season, one we want to try and repeat again this season. Come up against a very strong team. Go back 12 months, or longer than 12 months now, obviously. They defeated us in the first home game last season, so it's something we want to put right if we can, but we're looking forward to it. We know we were below the standards we expect, and the players know that as well against Accrington, so hopefully we can bounce back and get our first win of the season.
Yeah, they've had a really good start, haven't they, Fleetwood?
Yeah, I mean, they had a home game to start with, and then obviously won the cup game, so they're a strong opponent, and they've lost some players from last season, particularly defenders, but they've recruited well again, and I think they're going to be right up there, one of the teams that will be probably pushing all the way this season, as they were last season. So I don't see many things changing there. So, but for ourselves, the game, we always look at ourselves and where we need to improve, and basically what we did on Monday morning, as we do after every game, we looked at some of the positives, and then we looked at things that we needed to reflect on in terms of what we need to do better, and then you hope that way that the players can progress. That's the idea. But the players are fully aware that we need to improve our performance, and particularly the intensity going into this game on the weekend.
Yeah, there might have been a bit of a surprise package last season, but they probably won't be this year, given the fact that the players they've recruited and what they did achieve last year.
Yeah, they didn't surprise me last season, because if you look at the players they had in terms of a lot of experience, Evans, Madden, Coots, things like that. They brought in the loan market, Gibson and Suter. Gibson towards the end, obviously Suter at the start. They've got Danny Andrew, very good left back. Burns, they're quite flexible, and they're similar to us. They're flexible in terms of they'll change formations within a game without making substitutions. I like that about them. So we know what they bring to the table. Obviously they beat us twice last season, so we know it's going to be a very difficult game, but we're prepared as we always do, and it's up to the players then on Saturday to produce a performance, and we need to get back to winning ways.
Yeah, some fans might have been confused when they saw Louis Reed on the bench, thinking how can he be on the bench because of the salary cap and all that malarkey. But obviously that doesn't come into effect until October, and obviously given the fact you had Reece Brown out and Reedy's not done anything wrong in terms of his performances, that's probably why he was been your thinking.
Yeah, I think what I've explained to the players that possibly are not going to be in the salary cap is not about their footballing ability. It's just about, obviously we can only get so many players in it, and the players that the obvious ones we've spoke about have been great and trained very well. Lewis Reed, his performances have been good, and his performance against Burton was excellent on the Tuesday. So I think it's the second week of October. I'm not too sure. I know it's October, so early in October I have to give my squad that's within the salary cap. So before then, whatever was in my mind, I can make changes to. I feel I need it to be settled now. I don't think we're going to be doing, you never know, but any more recruitment. Obviously, we're aware of one of the two that might go out before the sort of salary cap comes in. But with Lewis Reed, he's one that I can always bring back into it if I feel right. And at the moment, I can use as many, any players I want. So why would I not do that? So I think Lewis has been great. We've had a couple of good chats, and he's in a good place at the moment.
Yeah, one of the players obviously who's been injured. That's not part of the salary cap squad. Jason Naismith obviously been training to get back to full fitness. Ideally, you need him. Well, for him, I suppose he needs to play games, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's not a nice job for a manager when you have players that, have very good attitudes and good professionals. Jason Naismith one, Boydie another. That unfortunately I have to make these decisions for the benefit of everyone, in particular the club. And my decisions have always got to be based upon what's the best decision for the club. And unfortunately, I can only get so many players in, and I feel that also with them, those two in particular, are they going to play enough games to satisfy them? Probably not. So they need to try and find the club as best they can. We've recruited, I feel, very, very well in certain areas in terms of obviously the 10 position where Boydie can play. It's Smodic and Broom, and I've got young Flynn, so I don't want to also, which the players understand. I've spoken to them and been very honest. We can't stop the development of younger players at this club. That's key to what we're trying to do, both short term and long term. So for those two, I think it's important that they go out and get games on a regular basis, and obviously we hope that's the case before October.
Welcome back to the Weston Homes Stadium and the pre-match show in association with Mick George. Delighted to say I'm joined by Peterborough United manager Darren Ferguson. So Darren, starting lineup for today, what we got?
Been a couple of changes to the starting lineup. Broomy's coming for Wardy, right wing back. Reedy's coming for Ethan, in the middle of the pitch. Apart from that, it's the same start lineup as last week. A couple of changes to the bench. Young Ricky's back, and Dembele's on.
In terms of Ryan Broom, you obviously played wing back for quite some time, John.
Yeah? Did I tell you he was playing wing back?
Yeah, you just did, didn't you?
Did I?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yes.
I said he replaced Ward.
That's true. Is he playing wing back?
Anyway, no, yeah, listen, you can play in 2 or 3 positions, to be fair to the boy. So that helps. We knew that we had that flexibility. He has played as a wing back quite a lot in Cheltenham. So we knew that was the case when we signed him.
In terms of Suki Dembele, I guess it's just too late to get him into the starting lineup.
We've got to try him out to his house, so he's done a little bit more work, so he's maybe a little bit ahead of Brownie. Brownie had more symptoms as well to the virus. So, and with Dems, probably having him on a bench if you need him for 20 minutes, he is one of those players that can change things and light things up. So that was the reason behind that. But he's too early for him today to start.
And Lewis Reed as a reward, I guess, for his performances.
Yeah, as simple as that. And he's been excellent. The game against Burton, he was outstanding. He's trained very well. He's in a good place. He needs to keep performing like that. I know we've got the salary cap thing, but I can make changes. So I can change my mind on certain things with that. So that's the case with Lewis.
Yeah, Mickey J. Jones on the bench, that's a good boost.
Yeah, I think looking at the bench, we've got a lot more pace. Certainly Ricky, if you're winning the game particularly, it gives you that pace to press teams because you tend to see it drop a little bit deeper when you're winning. And then, of course, we spoke about Dembele. We've got obviously Burrows and Ward as well. Mason, who's very flexibility, so I've got a good bench.
Yeah, is it hard to pick that bench today?
Yeah, because I've had to leave Flynn Clark out, who arguably has been excellent, and when he's been called upon. But the balance of my bench has to be correct. I often say it's harder to pick a bench than a team. I gave it a lot of thought about whether I go with Flynn or Burrows. So I've gone with Burrows because I feel that we've got Broomy can come in there as a player of the 10. We've got 2 attacking players, so that was the reason behind that.
And Johnson Clark Harrison from the start as well. You looking for him to kick on from those about 90 minutes he had Accrington, but in particular the last half of that game.
I feel he got stronger as the game went on, and he's looking. Obviously, you would expect his fitness has got better. His confidence is there. And he's a good player, the boy. So I think with Mo and John up front, the key to it is we've got to get him service. Certainly better service than we did last week. If you're a striker, you need the service. We need to do a lot of things better than we did last week, but I'm fully expecting a better performance and hopefully, obviously, the most important thing, a better result.
I know you're looking for them to come out of the traps quickly because that's what you want. Stamp of authority.
I think we need to play how we used to play, and people recognise us as playing, and it's been spoken about. So it's up to the players now, and I feel the only way they can fulfil the potential and performances is to relax and play with belief and confidence and just intensity. And when they do that, they're a very good team. The players are fully aware of that. So yeah, I fully expect and hope for a much better performance. And then
if the performance can take care of itself, it gives us a good chance of winning.
And just finally, familiar couple of faces in the Fleetwood squad, including Paul Coots, of course, who helped us in the championship.
Yeah, I know Paul very well. Obviously, I signed him years and years ago when he was from Cove, and he turned out to be a very, very good player. I think we signed him for about 600 quid or something. But
and some footballs.
Yeah, took him to Preston with me. So yeah, I know Paul well. Danny Andrew, obviously, I know well as well. He was a young kid here, and I took him to Doncaster. So two very good players, and two players we haven't mentioned, obviously, in regards to the Fleetwood.
Perfect. Well, best of luck today. Hope it all goes well. That's Darren Ferguson speaking to us ahead of today's game with Fleetwood Town. It's now time to hear from some of our sponsors. Hello, welcome back to the Weston Homes Stadium and the pre-match show in association with Mick George. Now, early on in the week, sat down with our vice-captain, Nathan Thompson. Now, Nathan comes from a footballing family. His brother Lewis plays at MK Dons. So we asked him what it's like to grow up with someone who's as passionate about the sport as you are. Nathan, football families, obviously your brother plays in the league, you play in the league. Is it weird? Is it strange? How did it all come back growing up? Were you all both keen footballers from an early age?
Yeah, definitely. Lou always used to follow me around everywhere. It's extremely competitive in that sense. So he would be playing up 4 years older with lads 4 years older than us. But no, it's been a strange sort of. He played with me for a good few years, and it was the best feeling ever. And then we went to Shrewsbury. Was it last year? And he come on, and it was a very, very weird feeling. And we're obviously going to have it again this year with MK. So it's something I think we're going to have to get used to. It doesn't make it any easier, but at the same time, it's a lovely feeling. The odds of being a pro footballer are so small, so the fact that we've both made it is a huge credit to both of us, and it's something we're extremely proud of.
When you were at the same club together, was it a case of you looking out for him and almost on the training ground being a bit protective? Can you play your own game when you've got a family member with you?
It took a little bit of time. To begin with, it was very strange having him get fouled, and you know what it's like. It's a little bit of an argy-bargy, and naturally it was innate in me to go over and protect him in that sense. And it took probably 30, 40 games before that sort of went out of me, and you allowed him to get on. And he's grown up. He's older. He's not 25 now, so he's big enough and ugly enough to look after himself and stuff like that. But as I say, to come up against him is a completely different experience. And when he was at Shrewsbury, he literally played man for man against me, and yeah, it wasn't the nicest of experiences, to say the least.
What did he say to you when he came on? Because obviously, as you say, he came on as sub, didn't he? So it was almost like he came on to do a little bit of a job on you. Was it weird?
It was, because he's a centre mid, so the fact he'd come out onto that, I think they were playing a diamond at the time, and he sort of played left of the diamond, and he was to stop me getting forward and stuff like that. And we've got very similar qualities in that we like to tackle, we like to sort of the defensive side of the game is probably our strongest point. So the fact that he was on that to try and negate what I was doing at the time was strange. And as I say, it's something that we're certainly going to have to get used to, because there's a minimum going to be another 2 times this season. So we'll see how it goes.
Did he actually say anything?
Sorry.
It makes it interesting, because I would have thought that if you would have wind someone up as a brother, could you say something that might have happened 15 years ago?
No, he didn't, to be fair. He was quite quiet, and he didn't really say anything at all. I think at the time he was sort of battling to get in the team, and he just wanted to impress, and it's a case of getting his head down and showing what he was capable of. He didn't really have to. If he was probably more established, there may have been that banter, and if he had started the game as well. But he was trying to get into the game at that point, coming off as a sub, and no, he didn't really have too much to say. Do you look for his result when you finish? Is that the first thing you look for? Of course, yeah, just to make sure. I think it's now so ingrained in me. He's had such a bad run of injuries. The first thing I do is check the team lineup, make sure that he's played the 90 minutes. If he's come off, why has he come off? And it's a horrible feeling. And I know my mum really struggles with it in particular as well, because listen, you come on the phone to him and it's the first question: how are you? Did you get through the game? And the result or the performance becomes second to that. So it isn't the nicest of feelings, but hopefully with a full season under his belt this year, you can get beyond that, and it can just go back to just being about the performance. And if there's a 50-50 though, can you smash him? Well, do you know what? We've been doing this in the garden since we were 4 or 5 years old. So yeah, we used to roll the ball between us and go in for tackles and stuff like that, and it was part of a make-up. So I don't know if it would be the same as tackling anyone else, but I don't think there'll be any sort of reservations in that sense.
Association with Mick George, I've made my way over to one of the executive boxes in the South Stand here at the Weston Homes Stadium. Big shout out to Axiom, who are the sponsors of the sort of pre-match display on the pitch, and also a big shout out to ABAX as well, because they sponsored the piece with Darren Ferguson when we delivered the team news earlier on today in this show. So a big thank you to them as well. Now, you've just watched part 1 of our interview with Nathan Thompson. Part 2 is coming up a little bit later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. We've also got an interview with Gene Venters coming up too, so make sure you be tuned to the pre-match show. Now, of course, the game today is being streamed live on iFollow. Match passes are available for £10 for non-season ticket holders. Just go to the club website, which is theposh.com, and follow all of the instructions there, and you'll be able to watch today's game with Fleetwood Town. If you are a season ticket holder, earlier on this week, you'll receive correspondence from us with regards to getting your code to watch the game today against the COD Army. So make sure you tune in later on. Of course, kickoff is at 3 p.m. The players will be coming out for their warm-up very, very shortly. The team lineups have been confirmed. If you missed it earlier on, Darren Ferguson delivered that for us. So in goal is Christy Pym. The left wing back is Dan Butler. And you've got Nathan Thompson, Frankie Kent, and Mark Beavers in the centre of defence. Now, we think Ryan Broom's going to play at wing back. The manager didn't really confirm it, I'm guessing he could be at right wing back. He has played there before for Cheltenham, so we are expecting that. Lewis Reed comes into midfield in place of Ethan Hamilton, so he gets the nod to partner Jack Taylor. Sammy Schmoditz is in behind Johnson Clark-Harris and Mo Issa. Shriki Dembele, who of course tested positive for COVID, back in the building yesterday. He's on the substitutes bench for Posh today. Reece Brown was in the building on Thursday, but as the manager confirmed earlier on in that chat with us, of course sponsored by ABAX, that the logistics of getting a bike to Reece Brown was a little bit hard to do in comparative terms to where Dems lives. So Dems has done a little bit more work. That's why he's on the substitutes bench today, and Reece misses out for Darren Ferguson's side. So kick-off against Fleetwood is at 3 o'clock. And of course, Danny Andrew, former Posh player, Paul Coots, former Posh player, players that Darren Ferguson knows well in that Fleetwood lineup today. Now, earlier on this week, we were talking about iFollow. We obviously sent all the correspondence out in terms of how you can watch today's game. We've also put together a little handy video, step-by-step guide to make sure you don't miss any of the action. And that video is right now. This guide will help you purchase a match pass or redeem a code for iFollow to enable you to watch our game live through our website. Head to the iFollow section on the menu at the top of the website and click on subscribe. Select your chosen package. For a video match pass, click on check availability, click on subscribe now. Or if you're on a mobile, scroll down to match passes and click on subscribe for the relevant match. At this stage, if you already have an iFollow account, log in. If you do not have an account, please create an account. It's worth noting that your iFollow account is a separate account to your ticketing and shop account. Once logged in, you'll be asked to enter your payment information to purchase your match pass. If you are redeeming a code, enter this into the box and apply voucher code. You will still need to enter payment information if you are redeeming a code, however you will not be charged. When you have successfully purchased your pass, around an hour before kick-off, head to the iFollow section and click on Next Match. The link to watch live will be available here. If you have any issues logging into your iFollow account, please email ifollow@dfl.com. If you have any other issues, please contact the club on ifollow@theposh.com or telephone 01733 865 674. Hello, welcome back to the pre-match show in association with Mick George. I've gone very casual chair here. I feel like I'm hosting some kind of daytime show, but hopefully it creates a relaxed vibe. So I can talk you through what goes on in terms of signing a player. So the last player to come through the door was Sami Smodic, a real fan's favourite of the football club. Obviously a successful loan spell with us last season, and a lot of work went in behind the scenes to get him back here on a permanent deal from Bristol City. And from a media team's perspective, we wanted to create the biggest buzz that we could possibly do when it came to this transfer. So our marketing manager, Jake Baxter, who's also producing this show, hi Jake, he came up with a concept alongside Joe Dent and Chris Brewer, and we all came together to think of what we could do to maximise the exposure of this particular signing. Because obviously everybody is going to be looking at social media, everyone's going to wonder whether the deal's going to get done. We had El Presidente, Darren McAnthony, involved in this process. He was putting out little teasing videos to give the suggestion that maybe we could announce Smodic. And then it was about utilising the launch of the away kit, because obviously everyone's been waiting for the away kit as well. So putting the two together gave us the perfect opportunity to get the biggest reach for that particular signing. Now, when you're doing a video like that, you need the buy-in of a lot of people, not just the team behind the scenes at the football club, but also Miles Arkell, who did the video for us, but also, of course, the player himself, because we needed him for a good half an hour to get everything that we needed before we arranged with the other club of when we were going to launch that particular signing. And that actually got brought forward an hour as well. It was initially going to be launched at 2, but it came out a little bit at the Bristol end, so we brought it forward to 1, which gave us even more of a scramble to make sure we had everything in place for that particular launch. That means the pictures, the story, the interview with Sami Smodic, and of course what we brought into the process, which was Sami looking through some of the tweets that you guys had sent in around announced Smodic. So he obviously went through them, flicked through them, made some comments on them. And in terms of the reach, in terms of the view count, we were delighted with how far that actually projected Peterborough United Football Club and Sami Smodic in particular. So a big thank you to everyone who put all their hard work into making that a success. And Miles put together a little video of Sami's first day at the training ground.
Well, there in the end, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
We'll never come in this way.
Take out for me, please. Just a couple more, sorry.
No, I'm not.
I'm back. Move forward, that all of the sponsors that have worked tirelessly with our commercial team during this period of lockdown deserve an enormous amount of credit. Not just obviously Mick George for sponsoring this show, obviously ABAX for sponsoring the team lineups with Darren Ferguson earlier on today, but all the other sponsors that have worked, put their money where their mouth is during a really difficult time. So on behalf of everyone at the football club, thank you to our key partners, including Weston Homes, of course, Desco, who sponsored the stand behind the goal, and everybody else that's connected with the football club. And here's a message from some of those sponsors right now. Hello, welcome back to the pre-match show in association with Mick George. My name is Phil Adlam, and just a recap of the starting lineup. You can see it's just scrolling underneath me right at this moment in time. So goalkeeper, Crispy Pym, Nathan Thompson, Mark Beavers, Frankie Kent, Ryan Broom, Dan Butler, Jack Taylor, Lewis Reed, Sammy Smodic, Mo Issa and Johnson Clark Harris. With the substitutes, Dan Golai, Niall Mason, Ethan Hamilton, Ricky J. Jones, Harrison Burrows, Joe Ward and Sariki Dembele. You can find that Posh lineup across all of our social media as well. So make sure that you are not missing a thing. Just a reminder about iFollow as well. iFollow passes are available right now. £10 for non-season ticket holders, which can be purchased via the club website, which is theposh.com. Season ticket holders, you were sent a code this week. If you use that code, you'll be able to watch today's game with Fleetwood Town, which gets underway at 3 p.m. I've no idea how long that is from now. I'm going to guess around about half an hour, but kickoff is fast approaching. The players, 40 minutes, I'm told. 40 minutes till kickoff. Wow. So the players are on the pitch at this moment in time going through their warm-up. It's a lovely day here in PE2. Sun is shining, a little bit of wind. I know I'm turning a little bit into Michael Fish here, but the conditions are set fair for what should be a decent Sky Bet League One encounter. In terms of obviously watching this pre-match show, I hope you're enjoying it. I think we've got some comments that we can put up on the screen. So Dan Green says 3 points today, Gaffer. Well, I'd love to be the gaffer. In fact, he gave me the opportunity, didn't he? To be fair, I could do a pretty decent job given the opportunity. But Dan Green hoping for 3 points today from Posh. Cape United, come on, Posh. I mean, you're using these viewer comments. Say something about me, surely, and then I get some nice feedback. But thank you, Cape United, and good luck with your YouTube show as well, which is backed, of course, by the Chairman's podcast. And Louise Anthony says, come on, the Posh as well. I tell you, it's so inventive with your comments. Please make sure you use the comment box and give me some constructive feedback, like the forehead's too big or anything along those lines. At least I know that you're really enjoying the show that we're putting together for you. Now, earlier on in the show, you saw the interview with Nathan Thompson, part 2 still to come. But during the lockdown period, when I was actually at home, watching Homes Under the Hammer frequently, I managed to do some interviews with not only players, but supporters as well. And one of the biggest Posh fans is Jean Venters. She's really missing watching her favourite team play at this moment in time, executive suite member. In fact, we were going to do this link from her seat all the way over on that far side, but I didn't want to sit on her seat before she comes back into the stadium. We caught up with her to find out exactly how she became a Posh fan and some of her favourite Posh players.
Delighted to be joined by Jean Venters, who's been a Posh fan for how long?
62 years.
62 years. So, I mean, can you remember how you got involved? How did you end up becoming a Posh fan?
My dad, my auntie, and my uncles, my cousins, I mean, they all went. And of course, we didn't have cars them days, so we used to have to bike to the match. So I think I was about 11 when Dad took me on my bike and we went. Yeah, so we used to go in the enclosure. At that time, there was like the enclosure, which was in front of the stand. And I was only thinking the other day that when we used to go in there, we was with away supporters and home supporters. I don't know when it was segregated, but we were all together. There was no trouble. And I used to go in there because I used to like looking over the tunnel and shouting, you know what you like when you're 11, like mad on players. So I used to look over the tunnel, and Peter McNamee was my favourite. So I used to look over the tunnel and shout to him every time he came out. It's quite embarrassing when you think about it.
Well, you're saying obviously your whole family went. Was it a little bit like a family event then?
I think so. Well, yeah, they all went on their bikes. We all met there, and and I think my other cousin, he used to stand in London Road with all his mates. So we all went, but sort of stood in different places and whatever. So
can you remember?
Yeah, I can remember the match. I was thinking yesterday. I can remember the match when we played Arsenal. Was it in 1963? Was it or something? And there was over 30,000 there, and I can just remember being crammed in the enclosure. We couldn't even get out to the toilet. I mean, we were just so tight in there. But it was just—that's one thing I really remember. And it was, I think it's on the television because you can actually see me as they film the thing. You can see me looking over the tunnel. But that was the difference. We all stood together, home and away fans. It was amazing.
You mentioned the Arsenal game. Obviously, being elected into the Football League in 1960, having been in the Midland League for so long, I guess as a as a fledgling supporter, you were really excited about the prospect of
being. I mean, I wouldn't have been very old, and well, what was I then? About 13 then. Yes, I wasn't that old, but yeah, it's things like that. And then again, I was thinking yesterday, the main thing that when we went away, I can remember we went to Chelsea, was it? In 1965 when Vic Crow got injured. And I was thinking the difference of when we went away then, we used to go on a train, obviously. We were allowed rattles. We had the FA Cup we'd made out of cardboard and tin foil. And when we were standing there watching, when we came out, that was quite scary because there was horses. I mean, I would have been about 13 and there was horses just whisking you off your feet as you went out. And so different to where it is today. I mean, I don't go to the big away ones now, but yeah, so happy memories a long time ago, really.
Yeah, 1974, the Division 4 title. Did you go much that year?
I must have. No, Paul was born then. No, so I think I laid off a bit then when the kids. I mean, I followed it, but I wasn't going so much then because no, it was Mark that was born then. I'd already got Paul, and then Mark was born. So like the family was about then. So I didn't. I broke off a little bit, and then started going back when Paul got his season ticket. I think Paul was about 12, 13. We got his first season ticket. So.
And
Yeah.
did you sort of encourage them to become Peterborough fans, or did they do it of their own accord?
Mark hated football. I mean, Mark hated football for a start, but Paul was into it because his dad played football. But then they're both in it now. I mean, they're just both and were season ticket holders in the exec suite, and so it's a real family affair now.
Yeah. Do you look forward to that sort of Saturday social?
I do. I miss it so much. I mean, the people say like football, you know, it's all about players being safe. I understand that, but the social side of it is I've met so many good friends there, so many people, and it's the social side of it for people our age is something you look forward to. There's not much else to look forward to these days, and it's really nice, you know. And the social side of Peterborough is brilliant.
You mentioned Peter McNamee there. Is he your all-time favourite?
Well, no, I think Craig McCall-Smith is my all-time favourite, but McNamee was years ago. I had this childhood crush, I think. You know, you had to ride by his house on my bike, and that's like you do, like kids do these days. And then, funny enough, when I go to the matches now, he's there, you know, because he's been to some of the matches, and he's come and sat in the exec suite night. I have to say, he really was my favourite, you know, about 50 years ago. But, yeah.
And why Craig McCall-Smith then? What makes him special?
I liked him as a guy. I mean, I just really liked him. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about him, you know. I just really always liked him. It's Joe Ward now. Craig McCall-Smith's cop. Just have to have these little favourites, don't you? But yeah, just something about Craig. I've followed him wherever he is. I think he's just a great guy.
During the period early on this year, and it's great that, you know, she's so passionate about the Posh. Now it's time to hear from some of our key partners. PM and you're watching the pre-match show in association with Mick George. My name is Phil Adlam, and earlier on in today's show we caught up with our vice captain Nathan Thompson. Now Nathan is talking about football families because of course his brother Lewis plays for MK Dons and this season they're likely to come head to head. In part 2 we find out what it's like for the parents. Imagine if you're mum and dad of the Thompsons, who are you going to support when the two teams come face to face? Nathan's got his answer. Nathan, we talked in the first part about coming up against your brother, and obviously it's going to happen this season with hopefully 2 games when you're both involved. In terms of growing up together, you said that obviously he sort of followed you around and wanted to sort of not be Nathan Thompson, but he wanted to follow in your footsteps football-wise. Did you teach him? Were you sort of a guide for him as well?
I think my dad was in the army, so we moved about a lot, and probably the only constant you had in that was each other. So although we'd move about as a part of a battalion, we'd always be out playing together with the same sort of group of friends in that sense. So Lou would follow around and he would try to compete with the boys of my age, and it stood him in really good stead. It made him physically tougher, and when we moved back to the UK from Germany, he was you could see that sort of grounding as such really sort of allowed him to kick on when he come back to the UK.
Who's better then? You or him?
You know what, he's played in the Championship, I haven't, so I'll give him that, but at the same time I've played more games, so it's a tricky one to say. Listen, we're very similar in terms of our skill sets, but he's always been a centre midfielder, and when given the opportunity, when he's had the run of games and that, I think he's very, very capable of playing at a very high level. So I probably won't be drawn in to say who is on that day, but he's done very, very well.
You mentioned your dad was in the army. Is that where you think you get your discipline from?
Quite possibly. I think it was ingrained in us. The level of sort of determination, the fighting sort of spirit that you have to have, and it stood us both in very good stead in that sense. It's always a will to win, and maybe that it's ingrained from both our parents really.
It's like a never give up mentality, and it's not necessarily when you're on the pitch, it's sometimes when you're off it and getting through injuries, getting through the difficult times is part of the process.
For me, it's the harder part, the injuries, and we've both had numerous sort of injury setbacks, him more so than me, and that mental toughness, the playing on a Saturday is the easy part. That's the thing you love and you've grown up doing, but the mental challenges that come with being injured and seeing all the lads go out and train and you're left in the gym on your own is difficult. And I think when you're not involved in it and you don't see it on a day-to-day basis, you don't appreciate how difficult that can be. So yeah, it's definitely stood us in good stead for that.
Yeah, there's not many footballers obviously who've got brothers. Obviously we talk about famous ones like Gary and Phil, but there's not that many that have come through football families. Do you think that that creates an even closer bond between the two of you?
Quite possibly. I'll call him up after most training sessions and see how he's done and what we've gone and compare notes to a certain extent. What it certainly has done is it's made it a roller coaster, because come a Saturday I could be elated with my performance and that, and I'll get on the phone to him and he hasn't had a good game or he's picked up a knock and that, and I feel for my mum and dad because they're constantly yin and yang. It's so difficult in that sense.
Who do they go and watch? Do they split it? Or?
Yeah, they've had to, and it has been difficult. So if Lou's playing at home, then they'll tend to go and watch him, and vice versa. Obviously they're down towards sort of Bath area, so naturally if we play teams that neck of the woods, it suits. It is a bit of a mission up here, but still, in fairness to them, they're still up here when they can be, and they give us fantastic support.
I guess when you come up against Lou, when you look in the stand and you see your mum and dad there, they're praying for a sort of 1-1 draw where you both scoring?
That would be the ideal scenario. Unfortunately, we don't sort of tend to score too often, so I'd be wishing on a prayer there. It's been, I think, the fact, going back to what I was saying about it being such a roller coaster, I think it's been difficult for my mum. We've had so many setbacks and so many injuries, and that she's quite a superstitious person in that sense. And I think when we're on a good run, she never wants to come and curse it in that sense. So I'd like to see her there, but I think her nerves at times probably do get the better of her in that sense.
And just finally, you mentioned you came across from Germany. Were you in Germany a long time? Did you pick up any German? 5 years. No. Do you know what? It's one of the biggest regrets. I think at the time it was from 7 to 12, and I played in a German team, a team called Paderborn, who actually just got relegated from Bundesliga, and
it's probably disappointing that I didn't pick up more. I remember coming back and doing GCSEs and that, and I was okay, but I could never speak fluently, and I got the grades that I probably wanted in at GCSE level. But realistically, you spend 5 years out there, you should be able to speak a little bit more fluently, and it is possibly one of my biggest regrets.
Well, welcome back to the pre-match show in association with Mick George. I'm pleased to say that a lot of you really enjoyed the interview we did with Gene Venters a little bit earlier on. We've had some comments. Frankie Four Eyes says superb piece with Gene Venters. That's great to hear from yourself. Thank you very much for that. Christopher Monk, good to see and hear from Gene. Proper posh, definitely proper posh. She is absolutely missing the team madly at this moment in time. Gene Venters herself, thank you, Phil. I was a bit nervous about that, but you cut the right bits out. All the best to the lads today. Gene, you should know by now I don't do any editing. It would be the team behind the scenes. That's why I look so good on screen right now. It's all the makeup that I had beforehand. And, you know, it's just, I presume they've done something with this forehead, maybe. I know it does look quite big on screen now, actually, to be fair. Well, thank you very much for the comments. It's always nice to get comments back. It gives you validation for what you're doing. Now, earlier on in the show, we played you a little clip about iFollow to give you exactly what you need to know in terms of watching today's game at 3 p.m. against Fleetwood. We're going to play that video again now just so you don't miss any of it and so you know exactly what to do to make sure you don't miss any of the action. This guide will help you purchase a match pass or redeem a code for iFollow to enable you to watch our game live through our website. Head to the iFollow section on the menu at the top of the website and click on subscribe. Select your chosen package. For a video match pass, click on check availability, click on subscribe now. Or if you're on a mobile, scroll down to match passes and click on subscribe for the relevant match. At this stage, if you already have an iFollow account, log in. If you do not have an account, please create an account. It's worth noting that your iFollow account is a separate account to your ticketing and shop account. Once logged in, you'll be asked to enter your payment information to purchase your match pass. If you are redeeming a code, enter this into the box and apply voucher code. You will still need to enter payment information if you are redeeming a code, however you will not be charged. When you have successfully purchased your pass, around an hour before kick-off, head to the iFollow section and click on Next Match. The link to watch live will be available here. If you have any issues logging into your iFollow account, please email ifollow@dfl.com. If you have any other issues, please contact the club on ifollow@theposh.com or telephone 01733 865 674. Well, welcome back to the pre-match show in association with Mick George. As you just saw there, the Peterborough United players continuing to go through their warm-up ahead of today's Sky Bet League One fixture with Fleetwood Town, which gets underway at 3 p.m, which I reckon is in about 24 minutes, something along those lines. Of course, if you haven't got your iFollow logged in at this moment in time, we do actually have people on hand to help you if you have any issues. The ticket office line is available right now. You can also email ifollow@theposh.com and we'll be able to help you with any queries you do have. You can find out full details about anything that you've got any problems with on the club website, which is www.theposh.com. Hopefully you'll all get signed in and enjoy today's first home league game of the season against Joey Barton's Fleetwood Town. Now, the team lineup for today's game, which is available across social media and on the bottom of the screen, which is going to be below me very, very shortly. In goal, Christy Pym. You've got Dan Butler, Frankie Kent, Nathan Thompson in the centre of defence. We expect Ryan Broom to be the right wing back, but the manager did confirm earlier on that that might not be the case. So maybe I've jumped the gun a little bit there. Lewis Reed comes into midfield for Ethan Hamilton, and he's alongside Jack Taylor in the midfield engine with Sammy Schmodic, Johnson Clark-Harris and Mo Issa in attack. Siriki Dembele among the substitutes. He's recovered from COVID after testing positive. Reece Brown also tested positive for COVID as well. He's not involved in the squad today, but is back amongst the squad after recovering fully from the virus. So kickoff is at 3 p.m. today. Remember, with your iFollow pass, you'll also get commentary from BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. That's provided today by Sam Edwards and Edwin Overland. They're also doing the show here. Peter Swan is driving that show, and you can listen at 95.7 FM, should you wish to do so today. Sky Sports News also here today. Johnny Phillips has been doing a piece with our El Presidente, Darren McAnthony. That is playing across Sky Sports News today. So once this game's finished off on iFollow, get yourself over to Sky Sports News. I'm sure Darren had plenty of things to say, as he usually does, when it comes to all things football. And I suppose you better give a shout out to his podcast. I don't know what's called, the Hard Truth Podcast, available in all good podcast providers. Surely that will get me a pay rise by giving that a little bit of a shout out there. Hope you've enjoyed today's show. We'll be putting some of the interviews that we've included in today's show with Nathan Thompson and Gene Venters on our YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out this week if you've missed anything from today's show. We've also got a new YouTube sponsor as well, and you can check out all about that on the club website, which is theposh.com. So almost ready for kick-off here at the Weston Homes Stadium. It's Peterborough United versus Fleetwood Town, 3 p.m. kickoff. Come on, the boys. Let's hope we get our first 3 points of the season.